Welcome back on this Monday, July 15th. Nice to see you all. Thank you so much for joining me. And when we come back momentarily, what do you think Justin Trudeau's been up to lately?
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
As Sasha the Cat always said, please smash that like button. Like this station, give us the thumbs up, let us beat YouTube suppression, which is pretty heavy and has been pretty heavy all weekend because of this attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. They have been battening down the hatches, demonetizing for the slightest of reasons. And who do you think's making a huge profit off of all this news on social media and not sharing it with any of the creators? yeah, you guessed it. Just a couple of asides before I get into Trudeau's latest absolute fantasy. Some of you were a little bit upset with me for saying that Trump's miraculous avoidance of this assassination had anything to do with the hand of God. Well, that's certainly your right to believe that. But what I can't understand is how people wonder why evangelical Christians support Donald Trump. It's not because he's led a perfect life. It's not because he's somebody you can emulate in every way in his personal life. He's made mistakes, and he'd be the first one to say that. But it's his policies that are sympathetic and empathetic towards people of faith, especially evangelical Christians. And that's why evangelicals support him, because he has a strong pro-life position and he's strongly in favor of religious liberty and freedom of speech, which the liberals and the Democrats in the United States, the liberals in Canada, are not in favor of. They're diametrically opposed to these concepts. And I had somebody quote Joe Biden to say Donald Trump has the morals of an alley cat. Joe Biden has the morals of an alley cat, sexually assaulting his aide when he was a senator. God knows what else he's done, sniffing women's hair throughout his life. And there's talk about unmentionable things going on in his home. But professionally, he's been an unethical and amoral man who's been on the take his entire career and influence peddling as a senator and as a vice president. So don't even compare Joe Biden's morality to Donald Trump. I can tell you that right now. Anyway, let's get on to Trudeau because I find this unbelievable and comical as well. Because he says, check your bank accounts.
Check your bank account. If you live in one of these provinces and you file your taxes, you receive the Canada Carbon Rebate today. That's money from the price on pollution that gets deposited automatically in your bank account 4 times a year. And unless you pollute an awful lot every day, chances are you just received more money than you pay out with the price on pollution. So check your bank account or watch the mailbox for the coming days.
Why should I check my bank account? Did you freeze it again? This guy is such a fraudster. What a clown. We know we're not getting back more from this so-called carbon rebate than the government is taking from our pockets with the carbon tax. And it's not a tax on pollution. Carbon is not pollution. Carbon is integral to the life of plants and the atmosphere. This is absolute trash to say that carbon is pollution. And if you pollute an awful lot, he doesn't understand what pollution is. He's redefined, at the very least, what pollution means for his political purposes, for his political means test. And I'm just so sick of hearing Justin Trudeau talk about this pollution, equating pollution with carbon, and lying about how much money we're getting back. That we're getting back more in our pockets. 8 out of 10 Canadians getting back more. We're not getting back more. We're being robbed blind by this government. And now, and as I mentioned last week, and this story is growing, Trudeau's talking about taxing you when you sell your home. That's not just capital gains, which is bad enough that you can't make it a profit, a reasonable profit on your investment without the government stealing 2/3 of it. Now he's musing again about taxing you if you sell your home. And if you're over what, 50, 55, and you live in a house with more than 2 rooms, that's just too grandiose. You better move someplace else. You better sell that house for something smaller, says Justin Trudeau. The multi-millionaire hypocrite, the guy who jet sets around the world, ignoring his own carbon footprint, ignoring his own call to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, living like a king all over the world, staying at high class resorts, spending money like there is no end to it. And living like it. Justin Trudeau is just the consummate hypocrite. And for him to tell us how to live, it's time for him to go. And clearly, what 2/3 in the latest poll say it's time for Trudeau to resign. So what does he do? He goes on X, takes the social media, and says, "Hey, boys, girls, check your bank accounts. There's going to be some money in it. None in mine, not from Justin Trudeau." And he sure takes a lot more out of it. That's for sure. I want to touch on some other things here in the unraveling story of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. It just gets more bizarre. Now, I'm not reading any more into this than I should, I think. But watch this little clip. You might have seen this. I saw this actually the day after the assassination attempt. And this shows how I'm not going to say suspected shooter, he's dead. Nobody, you can't get libeled when somebody's dead, and he obviously was the shooter. So Thomas Crooks, and don't go with the 3 name like Lee Harvey. Nobody called him Lee Harvey Oswald. It was Lee Oswald, and it's Thomas Crooks. As somebody in a excellent little post on X said, resembles the kid in high school you knew who played Dungeons and Dragons in his mom and dad's basement. Yeah, that's exactly how this kook looked. But watch this. We're going to try again, folks.
Someday they
We're going to try one more time, folks. We had the sound up.
My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and honors economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say that guy made this place a special place to come to school and gave as much as he could to help the community.
All right. Sorry that took so long to show you. But of course, at about the 19-second mark, you see a picture of Crook in his classroom. Now, I don't know if that means he's associated with BlackRock BlackRock, of course, is the multinational, transnational corporation that is looking to take over Ukraine if and when Russia ever leaves, but of course, not going to happen the way they want to. But BlackRock is an international organization that thinks it should rule the world. It's globalist, it's associated with the World Economic Forum, and it's dangerous, very dangerous organization, and has no loyalty to the United States. It is only loyal to itself and to globalism. So is Crooks somehow involved with Black? I doubt it very much. But the question is, was he potentially a Manchurian candidate? This is the kind of kid we all went to school with. He's the one that sits in the back of the room, probably mumbles, heckles occasionally at the teacher, tries to get a bit of attention, but is socially inept, has maybe one friend, doesn't do well associating or socializing with the rest of the students, is maybe not a bad student, but not the best in the class, maybe not the worst, but a little maybe average to above average. And yeah, likes to play weird games in his spare time and probably walks home alone every night. And no, doesn't have any luck with girls. We all went to school with kids like this. These kind of people are very susceptible to being marked by the CIA or government organizations that are looking for help, looking for people to do their bidding. So that is possible. I just show you that because there is so many unanswered questions in the wake of this. And here, I want to show you this on X. This is fascinating because it demonstrates that there were other people who saw this shooter on the roof getting ready to shoot, and they were yelling at the police. And let's have a look at this. I have to go into the page here. I don't often do this, but let's see here.
He was doing the job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I get some beautiful police support.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than other people. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And
There he
it's not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals.
He's
We
on
have
the roof. He's
drug
right.
dealers. We have people that
Right
should not be
here,
here.
right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof again.
He was doing the job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I get some beautiful police support.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Yeah. So there you go. Very interesting. I gotta check that out. Very interesting. Demonstrates once again. Now, the sniper that you see has supposedly gone public with this, and we're not sure if this has been verified as actual, but it makes about as much sense as anything. The sniper pictured here went on social media, apparently, to say that we weren't allowed to take out the shooter. We were waiting for approval. We were waiting for somebody to tell us, yes, take him out. Now, they waited until the guy got from between 5 to 8 shots. This is what makes this all very strange, because they waited until he shot. And apparently, what we're hearing is the Secret Service rules of engagement are you don't shoot the assailant until the assailant tries to shoot the president. Now, that is absolutely insane. That is, excuse my language, ass backwards. You wait until that guy shoots, you're going to lose your president. There's going to be a death. It was only by miraculous intervention, I believe, only because Trump turned his head in time that he wasn't killed. This kid had a open pathway, clear pathway, 150 yards or meters away from the president. He was in optimum position. Nobody tried to stop him. Nobody even stood up and said, "Hey, we've got a gun on you right now. We've got you covered. Put your gun down. Stand up with your hands up, or stay on the ground. Put your hands over your head and throw the rifle off the roof." That would have been one responsible position. Another responsible position would have been to take the former president off the stage. He was just beginning his remarks. So why did nobody say, "Hey, there's a guy with a gun over there. We've got about 30 people who've already alerted us to his presence. Get Trump off the stage now before something happens, before this guy fires." They had up to, some people are saying 42 seconds. Other people are saying it's up to 4 minutes to make a decision about this. And they failed to make a decision. Their decision was to do nothing. And that was gross incompetence. Now, the Secret Service has actually come out. Kimberly Cheadle, who is the director of the Secret Service, she actually came out saying she wants to commend her people for doing such an excellent job, for reacting as quickly as they did. They exercised gross incompetence. And as I say in this post on X, this is nothing but the usual track record of the Secret Service. They're grossly overrated, and they failed dismally. And they showed how incompetent they were. And this has been a track record for the civil service for decades, or excuse me, the Secret Service for decades. They have failed to protect presidents. Ronald Reagan got shot, was very near death. There's been, actually, I read yesterday, 25% of U.S. presidents have either been assassinated or have had attempts on their life. And the Secret Service has done next to nothing to stop it. And they were absolutely at fault in what happened. And if their rules of engagement state they cannot fire until the president is fired upon, that is stupid. That is insanity. And those are absolutely worthless and useless rules of engagement, because your president's going to get shot every time. And it's only by a miracle. It was literally by a whisker. Well, all of the cliches about near misses fit on this occasion. Missed him by that much, as Maxwell Smart used to say. Missed him by a whisker. Missed him by a hair's breadth. Missed him by an inch. That's how close it was. No thanks to the Secret Service, which botched the job, which utterly botched the job. Now, I want to talk about quickly some of the reaction in Canada. I mentioned Andrew Coyne yesterday, a columnist who I just cannot abide anymore. He has nothing to say that I think is of interest to anybody except his mom and dad, and perhaps siblings, or if he has children, I have no idea. But it'd be a very close relationship for anybody to actually read his material anymore. But here's what a UBC professor said. And she removed this, obviously, because she realized, hey, it could get me in trouble. Damn, so close, too bad. And after somebody else speaks or writes approvingly of the potential assassination, Dr. Karen Pinder responds again by saying, what a glorious day this could have been. What kind of lunatics are teaching our children at universities? How moronic is this response? How completely inappropriate. And I have to laugh at the reporter writing this story. She calls this a social media gaffe. This is not a gaffe. This is a statement of idiocy. This is a statement of complete moronic intention. This indicates this person should really have her credentials examined, because there's something wrong here, something seriously wrong. But I find that, thankfully, we didn't get that response from Trudeau. It was a reasonable response. And I'll say that simply because I was almost expecting something incredibly stupid to come from this man in the wake of this attempted assassination. It was not bad, and Biden's remarks were not that bad either. I'm just concerned about how they're going to use this and whether or not this is the end of it or not. You have to remember, when you're walking through history, you don't know where you are in the process. You don't know where you are in the unveiling of history. People who watched the Kennedy assassination in real time and the aftermath of that weren't expecting Jack Ruby to spring from a crowd in the basement of the Dallas police station and shoot Lee Oswald and mortally wound him on the scene. Nobody expected that to happen, but it happened. We don't know what's going to happen next. We're walking through history right now, and history is moving at a very fast pace. History is accelerating, especially as we look at the dangers of the potential third world war over Ukraine or even the Middle East, as we look at the Republican National Convention starting tonight. There is so much happening right now, and we don't know where we are in the unveiling of history. I think it's very important to remember that. But story out today saying Trump says GOP convention speech will call for unity. And I encourage you to read. This is from Forbes, fairly credible news source. One of the few legacy media that I would say is generally accurate. And I think it's probably because Steve Forbes is a reasonable publisher, owner of this publication. But it's interesting, if you read this story, Trump says he was initially going to go to Milwaukee for the RNC convention and was going to deliver a barn burner of a speech about the failure of Joe Biden's policies. He says now he's going to do a completely different speech about national unity. I don't know. I will be listening and I will be reporting on it, but I'm not entirely sure what that means. How is it possible to talk about national unity when you are just the potential victim of an assassin's bullet? How can you talk about national unity when Joe Biden has tried to use the judicial system, the FBI, and potentially the CIA to ruin you, to discredit you, to get you convicted, to make you a convicted felon, to put you in jail? How can you talk about national unity when you know what the Democrats have been up to for the past 4 years? When you know that Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas, the director of Homeland Security, have willingly allowed 25 to 45 million illegal immigrants into the United States. The low end estimation is 25. My friend J.J. Carroll, who has been documenting this and who is a former border security guard, deputy in charge, he told me, and he has been telling other media outlets, that the real number of illegals that Biden has allowed into the country is 45 million, in addition to 600,000 children who have disappeared after crossing the border into a fate worse than death. And I can't say what that is without having this segment demonetized and destroyed. So you know what I'm talking about. You know what's been happening to these little kids, these children at the border. And Biden has been complicit in this. And the NGOs have been doing this with the full knowledge and support of the Department of Homeland Security. So I don't know how Trump is going to be framing this speech about unity. after what he's gone through and after what the Democrats have put the country through and how they have done everything possible to discredit and destroy Donald Trump over the last 4 years. I'm going to be listening. I have to say, it would be nice to have more civility in politics, less ad hominem attacks, less of the finger pointing back and forth, calling each other Nazi and racist and fascist and all of this. It would be nice if the Democrats could work towards the national interest again, if their loyalties were not to the globalist agenda, but to the United States. Just as in Canada, if the Liberals were not working towards the agenda and the objectives of the World Economic Forum and everybody else associated with that. If they were actually loyal to Canada, if they're actually loyal to Canadian democracy, that would be nice if we had more in common between liberals and conservatives, between Republicans and Democrats. Maybe Donald Trump is the man who can pull it together. Maybe he can show such a degree of magnanimity, such a degree of understanding, such a degree of graciousness and grace that it might be possible. I hope so. But right now, I don't know how he's going to make that work at this convention. But I know you will be watching as much as I do. I will, because it's very important what happens right now. We're walking through history. I can't say that with enough emphasis. As somebody who has loved and studied and appreciated world history throughout my entire life, I know when I'm walking through a very important juncture in time. And that's what we're doing right now. So every day is important. Every event is momentous. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week. But this is going to be a very exciting week. And I am just going to continue to pray for former President Donald Trump's safety, because I don't think he's out of danger yet. I don't think all of the Manchurian candidates have been caught or killed yet. And I think the potential for further harm exists. And I'm going to pray that doesn't happen. And I'm going to pray that this is going to be an incredible convention for the Republicans, and they actually do achieve some degree of national unity. I don't know how, but if anyone can pull it off, maybe Donald Trump can. Thanks for watching today, folks. I'll be back again tomorrow with all the news you need to hear. Thank you for watching this episode of Stand on Guard and being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right channel. If you've watched this episode to this point, you've watched it all. And that's really important for a small station like this. We always say subscribe, hit the bell, be a part of the KRAYDEN resistance. Resolve to resist. That's what we're doing. And if you become a subscriber, if you're a supporter of this station or a member through Substack, through YouTube, and now you can be a local as well, that's so important to us, because I couldn't do this without you. I made a decision to become an independent journalist about a year ago because I wanted to bring all of my experience in the military, in journalism, to you. I don't promise anything I can't deliver. I don't offer clickbait. I offer truth. The truth is out there, and it's my job to bring that truth to light and to you. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right resistance, and we'll see